56 years. Isabel and Michael have been together for over half a century.
It's a journey. You sure get to know each other, but you don't know how it's new feels. It's new. You don't know how you're going to handle it.
Isabel grew up in Cape Breton, raised on a small family farm. Her childhood educators inspired her to become a teacher.
And they were all kind and good people, you can more or less pick what you want to do. But there wasn't that many, you had to be able to move around if you were going to get involved with the military.
So I think we're okay doing this now, but I'm not sure. I've never done this one before.
Michael hails from Plymouth, England. As a teenager, he was drafted into the military. In lieu of joining the British Armed Forces, Michael joined the Royal Canadian Air Force.
I promised myself and my mother at the time that I would go back after 5 years. Well, somebody got in the way of that plan, and here we still are.
Their love blossomed in Greenwood, Nova Scotia, where Michael was stationed in 1961.
I was a corporal, and I was going to the mess, and Isabel was there with her sister one day. And we kind of, I eyed you. I don't know if you eyed me. You know the way it goes. Anyway, she was a good dancer, so we danced. I remember that. And that happened quite a few weekends. There was a dance at the mess, and that's how we got to know each other.
Michael can recall those memories with ease. For Isabel, however, those memories are fading.
My memory is not good, you know. They tell me that, and I know that. Right, okay? It's not funny. It isn't funny. It's very sad. That's the saddest thing about this.
But we deal with it. Sun to part shade. This will do it here.
In 1992, Michael retired from the military. It was time to put down some roots. They decided on the West Coast.
We're blessed that of our 3 children, 2 are now here with their grandchildren. And our eldest son, Andrew, is actually in Raleigh, North Carolina with a family.
Michael and Isabel are avid travelers and hikers, immersing themselves into distant cultures, enjoying the diversity of scenery this world has to offer. Since retirement, their adventures have landed them in Tibet, the Swiss Alps, Mongolia, Austria, Nepal, Antarctica, just to name a few. In 2011, Isabel was diagnosed with Alzheimer's.
Yeah. But, you soldier on and do what you got to do. It just makes you realize how courageous she is. I wouldn't want to go through this. I really wouldn't. The shoe on the other foot, I couldn't do that. No.
Isabel and Michael are resilient individuals and an even hardier couple. You have to be when dealing with an incurable, devastating disease such as Alzheimer's.
But I still try and keep doing what I used to do and keep my mind as clear as I can. And there's nobody's fault that it decided it was going to use me as for whatever reason. So it's been tough, in order to say the right word. So I need to have lots of different things to do.
One of those activities is singing.
I find that choral music is like the healthiest thing you can be doing. It's good for your mind, it's good for your body, it's good socially, it's good culturally. There's just nothing bad about choral singing.
I mean, the premise was pretty intuitive, when you sing, you feel better, right? It's really been quite progressive for all of us, and we have made good friends there, and we found we can actually sing So, and Erica keeps saying, you guys are getting better.
Love it. You can't see Isabel in the front row because she's the same height as I am. But she's moving and she's grooving, and I love it, and it's making everything so alive. I'm just amazed at what they accomplish and what they do and how positive they are. Such an amazing couple together and an amazing example of what it means to embrace the good things in your life.
To round out the voice types and provide assistance to the persons with dementia, high school students volunteer their time with the choir.
It's like a group of friends that have come to sing together.
Priscilla was so inspired by her newfound friends, she decided to write a book.
It's a story about an elderly woman who has lost a lot of her memories from dementia, but her daughter signs her up for the choir.
When Priscilla showcased her book in front of the choir, there wasn't a single dry eye in the room.
I just wanted the book to reflect how important I think this choir is.
I mean, it's about a 20-minute read. So she read it to us and showed us the pictures. They're just beautiful. They're all watercolors, and the story is lovely, and it really describes the choir beautifully.
It's wonderful for the kids, you know, the grade 11 children from St. Andrews, because they fit right in, you know, with the seniors who maybe have some, you know, sort of memory issues. I think a stranger walked in and heard the choir, you wouldn't know who had dementia, who wouldn't. It's just like that. It's just the way it is, yeah.
Everybody is very tender with each other, and everybody is learning something from it.
Not only is Voices in Motion a joyful intergenerational choir, it's a study led by University of Victoria nursing professor Deborah Sheets.
Our research project is to find out what the impact of music is on cognition and on people's health and well-being.
The research started with a pilot study in January 2018. That fall, 2 community-based choirs were launched. Participants agreed in taking monthly assessments. 30 dyads, or pairs, which the researchers fondly refer to as duets, agreed to be studied. Each duet included a person with dementia and their caregiver, such as Michael and Isabel.
The whole experience is really worthwhile, and thank goodness it's there. It's really been a real bonus for all of us. A lot of fun.
The fun comes with the practicing, the singing, the community this choir has built. But behind the fun is an intensive, diligent effort being put forth. The computing, the analyzing, the reports these researchers are building.
We measure for depression, we measure for caregiver burden. We're doing very comprehensive neuropsychological assessments. And when you're doing research, it's a lonely thing. You're in your office, you're cranking out numbers, you're analyzing data. This choir, we can see the impact, we can see the results. We don't even need the data, but we need the data to make the case for sustainability and to bring in some funding.
Each choir participant who has dementia must go through multiple assessments, some with a probe on their head, measuring oxygen levels in the brain.
We can actually tell by looking at the ratio of oxygenated to deoxygenated blood which neurons are involved in performing a task. So if we ask them to do a cognitive measure and they're recruiting frontal cortex, we'll see a specific signature. Those neurons are calling for more blood, and as the blood is going to that region, it's changing the relative concentration of oxygen in the blood, and that's the signal that we're measuring using these infrared sources and detectors.
This study is not just about those with dementia and their caregivers. It's about creating an understanding of how we, as a society, place stigma onto our seniors, our elders. Rather than dismissing their thoughts, their interactions, they should be embraced and celebrated.
We saw persons with memory loss becoming far more central in the context of interactions within the choir. There was a sense of them being acknowledged, interacted with, a lot of listening and appreciation. People with memory loss become concerned about what others may think of them. There's also the fear of being labeled as someone who has few abilities or no sense of self. You know, the kind of social stereotypes that often accompany the diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease.
Isabel and Michael have witnessed those stereotypes firsthand. They had the typical response: anger, frustration. But they quickly realized Alzheimer's is not a disease that can be swept under a rug. You have to learn to live alongside it.
So we decided we would just advocate. Why hide it? You know, pretty obvious. So forget the stigma stuff. Get out there, live your life. Find out who your friends are. Yeah, most people want to help. A lot of it's education. People want to help, you tell them how you can help. Yeah, don't be afraid to ask.
If we can identify people in the disease course early enough, social prescriptions and engaging in things like choir might be able to not only heighten their quality of life, but there may be opportunities to actually slightly delay progression in concert with some of the pharmacotherapies.
The team at Voices in Motion are now in the process of establishing a nonprofit whose initiative is to bring the joy of choir to those in our communities whose lives are affected daily by dementia. For Isabel and Michael, they live with the fact that Isabel's symptoms are only going to get worse over time.
It's never going to end.
But they have decided not to dwell on this fact. Instead, they will sing together. They will laugh together. They will let it be.
Well, I wouldn't be here if he wasn't here. So,
That's a good thing.
I guess.
That's a good thing.
I
Smile
guess
when you say that.
he held. Yeah, no. I can't imagine somebody who wouldn't have a really good friend who would stay around.